Today's topic, the Cobra snake and what it can teach you about fear. Hi, I'm Doug Holt, with author of Your Own Story, and this is your Daily Growth Hack, where each day we give you a tip, trick, or insight to help you up-level what we call the 5 to thrive. That is your mind, your body, your soul, your relationships, and yes, your business. Now, recently I started watching a few of the episodes on YouTube of the Cobra Kai series. Now, if you're not familiar with it, this is kind of the remake or mock of the old Karate Kid show, where they bring back Daniel LaRusso and his arch rival back when they're in their 40s. And it's actually pretty funny, and I like it. But one of the things that the Cobra Kai teach is, one, is Cobra Kai never die. The second one is not to be fearful. In other words, to face your fears, right? To come at it with a sense of gusto, whatever life brings to you. And it reminds me of a time when I was traveling through Tibet. Now, I traveled through China, through Tibet, and I landed in Nepal. And I say landed, we actually took a Jeep through the whole Himalaya mountains. And we ended up in Nepal, and I'm walking around the market in Nepal, and there was a snake charmer, sitting there just like you would see in the movies, with a basket in there, a couple guys sitting around, and he had a little flute. He wasn't playing at the time. He opened the basket, and out came a cobra, a king cobra with a gigantic mane. And I walked over and I looked at him, and we couldn't speak, and we're looking at him, and I walked over and he pet the cobra on its mane. And I went over there right away, and instinctively I reached my hand out and I slowly caressed this animal. This animal, typically I would be fearful, but for some reason I wasn't afraid. It was absolutely amazing. Now, stupid? Perhaps, but a calculated risk in the sense that I had assumed that nothing was going to happen. And I was also in my early 20s. And traveling around the world, I've experienced things like this many, many times. Now, what does that have to do with you? Well, here's the lesson that I learned. Oftentimes when I'm facing something, whether it be going into a boardroom meeting, that's kind of like a Shark Tank type environment, or it's coaching a high-level CEO of a big business, or it's doing something else in life. Maybe it's something that's daring, a hike, swimming with sharks, which I did last year. Whatever it may be, when I have fear overcome me, whether it be large or small, I remember that cobra snake. I remember the feel of his mane as I caressed him. I remember the looking right into his eyes, as close as you can imagine, only a couple inches away. Now, he could have struck me and probably incapacitated me and maybe even killed me. But the fear is the flip side of excitement, right? They're two sides of the same coin. On one side, we have fear, and we flip it over, we have excitement. What's the difference? Well, it's breath. It's taking a breath and going into it, right? And so what I invite you to do is grab your journal, write out your 5 to thrive. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of in the area of your mind? And I've spoken about a client of mine who had a story that he wasn't smart enough. And he's actually one of the smarter people I've ever met. But his story wasn't smart enough, so he was afraid to read in front of people. He was afraid to present on subjects, right? When he actually was an expert. So what is your fear? Overcoming his fear allowed him to step into his light and help so many other people grow his business, establish a firm relationship with his baby's mom, and also grow his friendships way beyond what he thought was possible, simply because he faced his fear. He pet the cobra. So I invite you to do the same. Where are those fears lying in your life? Where can you face the cobra and actually step into the fear rather than hiding from it and actually crouching down? Remember that Cobra Kai never die. All right, that's it for me today. Remember to share this with at least 3 other people that you know that you want to have conversations that matter. And if you're somebody that got sent this by somebody, hey, you have somebody who cares about you and wants to have conversations to help grow their journey and yours. And that's what the author of Your Own Story lifestyle is all about. Here I am in my adventure van traveling right now, and I wanted to get this out to you. So have an amazing day. Remember, go out and be the author of your own story. I'll see you later.
I hope you enjoyed today's Daily Growth Hacks. Please put your comments right down below, and remember to click subscribe. This way we can ensure that we're delivering these Daily Growth Hacks right to you each and every day. On behalf of the whole team here, remember, go out and be the author of your own story.